It's Tuesday, September 8th, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. The management practices at the Transport Board came under scrutiny when hearings by the Public Accounts Committee into its operations continued yesterday. Minister in the Ministry of Foreign Trade, Sandra Husbands, took the former board of directors to task for the company's financial woes and irregularities between 2015 and 2017. She suggested that the board did not try hard enough to save the cash-strapped state corporation from spending unnecessarily and charged that the special bus rehabilitation project had failed miserably. However, former chairman Anthony Wilshire maintained that a lack of adequate financing had hindered the smooth running of the board and that it was better to use a line of credit with local suppliers since cash was needed upfront when making overseas purchases.
When we went and we negotiated for these parts, we did not, or the Transport Board rather than we, did not have the cash to bring in a large number of these parts. So therefore, we would not have been in a position to give you 100% accuracy, because remember it was in 2017 and not much money was floating around. So we did not have that much.
But Husbands said the board and management failed to take the necessary decisions to address the deficit.
Faced with a situation like this in terms of the disparity of costings, and faced with the fact that because of the high expense of the operations of the Transport Board that made it not viable as an operation, as the chairman or the general manager, I would have gone straight to government and say, look, this is the difference. If we can make the switch here, this is what we could save annually, and we'd be in a better position to be able to have a viable transport board, because two problems have emerged. You're paying more. The buses are still breaking down. And once they're breaking down, you cannot make your revenue. But at the same time, your expenditure is 10 times, 4 times, 15 times higher than if you can bring in the item. In a situation like that, I would have had to make a case for a sum that would help me to make that transition. It appears to me that good decision making was not happening in relation to the care for government's resources and the provision of a good transport service for the Barbadian public.
Retired General Secretary of the National Union of Public Workers, Roslyn Smith, has given President Akani McDowell an ultimatum. Smith is demanding that McDowell calls a meeting of the National Council by Friday, or she would be forced to take action. Emmanuel Joseph picks up the story.
Stating that she will be present at any such meeting, the embattled General Secretary said it is unfair that Council is being kept in the dark. The National Council had placed Smith on retirement in March last year after more than 47 years service to the union, but the veteran trade unionist is contending it was done while she was hospitalized and is therefore claiming unfair dismissal. Smith shocked her successor Delcia Burke when she started turning up for duty last week, insisting she is still the General Secretary, a year and a half after having been retired by the union's decision-making body. That surprise move came 2 days after Barbados Today broke the news that the acting General Secretary Burke was retiring at the end of the year and the post would be advertised. When Barbados Today reached out to the NUPW president yesterday, he said he had not received any information, written or verbal, from Smith regarding convening any council meeting. In fact, he said he has no idea what Smith was talking about, and reiterated his intention to ask the executive to offer her any assistance she may need with whatsoever she may be going through during this time. Emmanuel Joseph for Barbados Today.
Some parents have been expressing concerns about their children's safety and ability to cope when school commences on September 21st. Over the weekend, Education Minister Santia Bradshaw outlined to the nation the measures being taken for the safe reopening of schools amid the COVID-19 pandemic. However, some parents told Barbados Today they were unsure how younger students would cope as it relates to wearing face masks and social distancing aspects.
I feel as though they will pick it up. Some of the younger ones would still pick it up because, they can just eat and rumble and put their hands all over the place and stuff. They ain't checking it, but the bigger ones, I feel safer with the bigger ones. Yes, I have two younger ones, 5 and 7. So that's my main concern, the younger ones.
I ain't 100%, but like I said, I can't keep them home. I think they're still gonna learn like ain't there. So.
What are some of the things you worry about?
Well, children will all be children. Children end up playing on one another, and there's a chance that they could catch something. But I think everything can be working away. I don't think that it poses that much of a threat because it seems to go everything under control. And most people are coming in bringing everything at the moment. I hear about the community spread and anything, so I think that everything should go well.
It's okay, but that's the social distancing necessary for children.
You don't think it's necessary? Why?
Because children like to play and they're going to interact with each other, so they ain't going to make no sense.
So you're saying you don't think it's going to work?
No, I can't social distance children. Oh, he don't play either. Because they're problem breathing.
And you also just take off the mask if you wanted to, but no, it's like.
No, you have to wear them.
But it's like the government trying to protect you, but actually in a certain way, actually keep you safe from corona, but actually in a different way.
Okay. So you ready to go back to school?
You see your friends.
How old are you?
I'm 6.
You're 6, so you are away from school for quite some time. Are you ready to go back to school?
I'm quite ready to go back to school.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our regional neighbors now, the Bahamas government prepares to implement the third phase of a tourism readiness and recovery plan on October 15. More in this report from Eyewitness News.
Tourism Minister Dionisio Diagolo recommending that all hotel properties resume operation as of October 15th. It's all a part of the phased reopening of the tourism sector. Tourists traveling to the Bahamas must present a negative RT-PCR test taken within 5 days of travel, and once on island, they'll be introduced to what Diagolo terms a VIP experience.
Instead of designating the act of remaining on a hotel property as quarantining, we are instead referring to it as vacationing in place. Industry research has proven travelers are less willing to quarantine, and so by shifting perspectives, our destination becomes much more attractive.
Diagolo expects that strict security measures on all properties will help to ensure that tourists abide by the rules.
Most hotels have hotel security to ensure that persons remain on property. And also remember that when you land in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, you go to immigration and then they refer you to the hubcap monitoring system. Your app will be on your phone and that will ensure that you remain on property.
And to ensure that staffers remain safe, the ministry is strongly recommending that all properties execute ongoing COVID-19 testing for employees even if it means using rapid testing as a primary source of surveillance.
And finally, on the international scene, wildfires have burned through a record number of acres in California this year as firefighters continue to battle several large blazes across the state amid a record heat wave. More in this CBS report.
Complete and utter devastation. At least half of the Central California town of Big Creek obliterated. This video shows the nightmare as it unfolded, flames engulfing everything in sight, burning home after home in what was an idyllic community. That was before.
And this is after. Ground Zero, where the Creek Fire got its name, and where today several neighborhoods have been reduced to rubble and ash.
First responders are only now reaching this town. They still don't know if everyone made it out. There may be little hope for those who did not. These harrowing images have emerged of those who escaped as they drove through roaring flames. Fire also trapping hundreds at a nearby campground. Some, like Dennis Drake, dove into the lake.
It's like, in my mind, I'm going, okay, are we going to die from a fire or are we going to die from drowning?
He and others were finally airlifted to safety. This satellite view shows how dramatically and incredibly the Creek Fire exploded in size. California's fire season already 7 times larger than normal. 2 million acres have already burned. To put that in perspective, that's more than 10 times the size of New York City. The state also suffering unrelenting heat, 100 degrees in downtown San Francisco on Sunday, and in Woodland Hills, 121 degrees, the hottest temperature ever recorded in Los Angeles County.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.